which doesn't belong and why. Steelers, Seahawks, and Dolphins, teams that have dropped 2 in a row after encouraging Week 1 wins, which doesn't belong and why.
Well, I'm going to say the Dolphins because they have a young coach, a young team, a young quarterback. Those others obviously have the veteran quarterback that we talked about, the veteran coach, more veteran teams. We expected more out of them. The Dolphins are trying to prove that they belong. They haven't been to the playoffs in a really long time. They had a chance last year, and they blew that. The Steelers and Seahawks at least both made it last year. They didn't get very far. They were first-round flameouts, but they did make it to the postseason, Mike. So I think it's the Dolphins that I would leave out of that conversation right now.
I'm going to say the Seahawks for 2 reasons. One, it's the most surprising to me that they've quickly fallen on hard times. And secondly, they've got the highest potential for unexpected quarterback chaos. You know, in Pittsburgh, I think there's a chance Ben retires or goes on IR. If this continues, that won't surprise anybody. In Miami, there's a chance Tua Tagovailoa gets benched or they trade for Deshaun Watson. That wouldn't surprise anybody. I pointed out earlier today in the power rankings, and I said this a little jokingly, but also more seriously than jokingly. We think Russell Wilson is going to bring back his desire to be traded in March if things don't go well this year. Hey, the window's still open until November, too. If the wheels come off for the Seahawks the next few weeks, maybe his agent will be texting reporters that my client does not want to be traded before the trade deadline in 2021. But if he were to be, here are the teams that he would accept a trade to, just like he did back in March. All right, Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, AFC West teams that each have a better record than the Chiefs. Which doesn't belong and why?
Well, I'm going to go for the Broncos for reasons we talked about yesterday, Mike. But the teams they've played are 0-9. As you pointed out, 3 of those losses were against the Broncos. But their next 4 opponents, 8-4. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and Cleveland. If they win those 4, we'll be calling them a contender. But the Raiders and Chargers already have quality wins, much better quality wins than the Broncos have. That's why I would leave the Broncos out of that conversation for now. I think they can be a contender. I just don't think we know enough right now. I do think we know enough about the Raiders and Chargers, having seen them beat really good teams, to know that they are playoff contenders.
I say the Chargers don't belong because I think they're the best of the bunch, and I may be proven wrong in 6 nights when the Chargers host the Raiders, but I think the Chargers are the best of the 3 teams as long as they stay healthy. And there have been some questions. So, Joey Bosa, his availability was up in the air. Derwin James was a little banged up, but I think the Chargers are the best of the 3 teams. Matthew Stafford, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, quarterbacks thriving in their first seasons with a new team, which doesn't belong and why?
I think this is the most obvious one, Mike, and it's Teddy. Teddy's 28. He's on his 4th team now. He's been written off more than once, but mainly because those other 2 quarterbacks went to those teams as the starter. They were going to start there. They got new starts. We said, can't wait to see what these 2 teams are going to do with those quarterbacks, and they've done well, where Teddy went there and had to win the starting job. He did that, but he actually was in a competition, a close competition, with Drew Lock for that starting job.
I'm going to say Matthew Stafford because he is the 2021 version of Tom Brady, the veteran quarterback who wanted out, who got out, and is having a great year, and it's going to embolden more veteran quarterbacks to make that same move next year. Whether it's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, we already expect to do it, but other veteran quarterbacks who say, you know what, I'm wasting my career with an organization that doesn't put the right support around me, whether it's coaching staff, whether it's other players, whatever the case may be, I'm going to call my shot, I'm going to pick my spot, and I'm going to go become the next in this chain of veteran quarterbacks who end up in a new city and have incredible results right out of the gates. Colts, Jaguars, Jets, 0-3 teams in the AFC. Which doesn't belong and why, Charean?
I'm going to say the Colts, Mike, just because we expected more. I don't know how much more because you had questions about Carson Wentz, but we expected more. I mean, they'd been to the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. They've had 2 losing records over the past 9 years. We know the Jets and Jaguars' history. They haven't been to the playoffs in a while. The Jets are on their 4th coach since their last playoff appearance in 2010. The Jaguars have had 1 playoff appearance in the last 13 years. Of course, that was 2017 when they surprisingly got to the conference championship game. But I do think we expected more out of the Colts this year.
I'm going to say the Jets just because it's been my own experience that their fans are the most upset and defiant about any criticism they still get at being 0-3. The Zach Wilson Mafia is already as strong as the Tua Tagovailoa Mafia. I think the Colts fans are just kind of defeatist. They understand whatever can go wrong is. And we accept the fact that even though we tried to make ourselves think we were going to be good, we kind of suck right now. The Jets fans are in full-blown denial about how bad their team is because they thought Zach Wilson was going to walk through the door and be Broadway Joe right out of the gates. He still could be, but he's not doing it right out of the gates.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.